facilitate this dialogue today with these leading chief diversity officers at some of the most admired companies in the world, and some of the people that I admire the most in the CDO role that are working today. So we're going to have a really robust conversation about everything from recruiting diverse talent to utilization of social media as the Office of Diversity, how they're reaching diverse candidates. We're going to touch on supplier diversity and the intersection between supplier diversity and the Office of Diversity, which can look different depending on the company, and we'll hear a little bit more about that. We're going to talk about employee resource groups as well. So these are called ERGs, affinity networks, business resource groups. You'll hear us refer to them by a lot of different names. They are diverse employee networks within companies, and so many of you probably know about them. You may not manage them, and you may not be members of them, but they are great drivers for supplier diversity as well, which I'll say a little bit more about, and we have a couple great examples on the panel of that. I want to get a sense of the audience today so that we can target our remarks and be most helpful to you. We're going to end our time with Q&A as well, so you'll have a chance to really ask your questions. But let me ask, how many diversity leaders are in the room? So you're programmatically leading diversity. Okay, great. We've got about 10 folks. How many folks in supplier diversity or procurement and sourcing? Okay. How many folks are vendor suppliers like myself? Great, so that's the majority. How many HR people? Okay, 1, 2. And how many folks in corporate environments are a member of an ERG, a diversity network within your company? Great, we've got a couple of those too. Great, thank you. That's very helpful. So we've got a real diversity. Probably the largest group we have in here is suppliers and vendors. So that's very helpful for us to know. All right, so let's introduce ourselves first. What I'd love to hear, just go down the line here, your name, your title, maybe how long you've been in the role, and maybe if you could acquaint us with just quickly, how do you intersect with the supplier diversity world and suppliers and vendors?
So my name is Elizabeth Nieto. I'm the Global Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer for MetLife. I have been in the organization for 4 years as part of the transformation of the organization, going really global after we acquired Alico. So it has been a great opportunity to reset our diversity journey. And actually, in many cases, we have partnered with supplier diversity. I'm going to ask Pauline to say hello. And Pauline Vaughn is our supplier diversity lead. And since she came to the organization maybe 3 years ago, we have looked for really opportunities to work together. She works in the procurement environment. I'm in part of HR, but with supplier diversity as well as the foundation, we always look for opportunities to collaborate and see where we can leverage our resources and give back to the community or take advantage of these relationships to do better for our corporation.
Good afternoon. I am Ken Hunter. I'm the Chief Diversity Officer and EEO Officer for the NYC Department of Information Technology. And as you see, I'm dual-hatted in most respects, handling 2 different programs. But I work with my procurement team very closely in terms of our supplier diversity. And how it works is that I develop a strategy for the actual procurement, how we want to do our supplier program, the supplier diversity program, and they actually implement it. So we actually work very closely together on our plan and our goals for supplier diversity. I've been in my role a little over a year in this position. I have other diversity positions, diversity officer positions, as well as EEO positions. And I'm just thrilled to be here. I want to thank the organizers for inviting me to be here.
Hi, I'm Donna Johnson, and I'm the Chief Diversity Officer at MasterCard. They're located in Purchase, New York, which is about 20 minutes away from here. I've been in my role for about 6 years, but I was at MasterCard for 21 years. So I'm relatively new to this space, but also I learned about diversity and inclusion at MasterCard as well. So it's a great opportunity for me to really customize our program to the organization and how it is transitioning from a credit card company, as you might have thought of them in the past, to a technology company that we are today. So I report into our general counsel, but our supplier diversity lead reports into finance. We partner very closely together because he's part of our diversity council. And it's critically important for us to embrace all of the aspects as it relates to diversity and inclusion. One of our mantras for the organization as a whole is doing well by doing good. And so diversity and supplier diversity work hand in hand to ensure that we are partnering with the community to really drive value. So Brian is, and he'll really appreciate me saying his name out loud, but Brian is one of our real partners. We both actually started in our roles at the same time. He new to the organization and me new to my role as a diversity officer. So we've been able to grow our partnership as well as how successful we are in this space together. And I'm gonna brag a little because that's what we do. We started in 2010 together where our supplier diversity numbers were around 5% of our total spend. Today, we're at 15%. So we're working really closely together, but more importantly, partnering with our business unit managers to understand how we can even drive that number higher.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Jerrell Moore. I'm Vice President of Diversity and Inclusion for Time Warner Cable. We have about 58,000 employees spread across the country. Last year, about $24 billion in revenue. So huge impact on our country, on the economy. And I get excited about the work we do, not just from a changing demographic and, helping us, enjoy Wi-Fi and what we look at on television and things like that. But one of the fastest growing segments of our business right now is small business. Providing that access to cable, Wi-Fi, telephone services for small business owners is huge for us because we know that women, minorities, veterans, disabled, LGBT are driving the growth in small business owners. So for us, that's a huge segment that we look at because that directly impacts our bottom line. As it relates to supplier diversity in general, we look at that because we're starting to shift and really move away from thinking of ourselves as a cable company and looking at ourselves more like a technology company. And as we look at technology, and we were having a conversation offline earlier today, we think about how we're pushing children and people in college into STEM and things like that. So we know that there's going to be this heightened emphasis on talent looking at things that may be more innovative and creative. So that's very exciting to us, that intersection there.
Thanks, Jerrell. We have our mystery panelist. Hi, Michael. Welcome. Right into the fire. If you could just jump on in, if you wouldn't mind. Introduce yourself. We're sharing our role, how long we've been in the role, and is specifically because we have so many supplier diversity folks and suppliers in the room. What is your relationship as the diversity leader with that office?
Yeah, great. I'm Vice President and CEO at the MTA. Sorry for my tardiness. I spoke on the MWBE panel at Old SUNY Westbury, just getting back. So it's my second panel today. So I'm Vice President and CEO at the MTA. The MTA is a $1 trillion organization, as you know. Buses, rail cars, subways. We have 68,000 employees. Our new $29 billion capital program was just approved 2 weeks ago. We buy $6.5 billion a year in goods and services. We are the largest buyer of subways, buses, and rail cars in the country. We focus on law firms, architect engineers, contractors, vendors, and suppliers. And so the MTA is going your way.
Nice pitch. All right, so let's start by talking about, we've got a lot of industries up here that, whether it's financial services or telecommunications, that may have traditionally a difficult time attracting diverse talent. We had some really interesting conversations about the innovative ways that we're trying to get them into the pipeline so that we can diversify our companies. And that really is such a huge part of a diversity officer's job. And it's especially difficult, I think, in financial services and other sort of traditionally not so diverse industries. So I know all of you had thoughts on this, but Elizabeth, would you like to start?
So the insurance industry is not a well-known industry for people that may be considered ethnic or racial diversity and women. So part of the work that we have been doing lately is tell the story of what do we do. People think all bad things about insurance, and actually what we do is we provide for services to pursue your dreams and pursue the dreams of the people that are gonna outlive you. So it's really about the future, it's not about the past. And when you connect that to the purpose of people, you know, there's a lot of research that women, not only they want a great job where they can contribute, they want a job that they have a purpose, they can connect with the internal values and their own purpose. It's not only women, but some of the research has been done on that. So for us, it's how do we tell the story of this industry and specifically around MetLife? The other thing is we have become a company that is looking at more and more at innovation. How do we do things different? How do we approach to our clients in a different way? And that again has been one of the things that it's not being told unless we go out. But it has been very interesting as we have changed our employee value proposition and we had communicated that, we have been able to attract more talent that is diverse to this industry that didn't have that before. We're seeing that, you know, we have an age opportunity. Millennials are not interested in the kind of work that we do because they don't know the work that we do. Very few people that go even to actuary studies understand or are interested in that. So the way for us is just how do we position this so other people or other groups are interested in coming and working with us. And what we have proven is that when we change, it's not about selling an insurance, but it's really about creating this extra opportunity for you to live a better life in the future for yourself and your family. That is much more engaging than saying, you know, this is a credit line and an annuity and all of those things, but really coming up with the story of what we do for our client.
What we've done in Do It, as we call it, that's the acronym for the Department of Information Technology, and we always say we do it to do it, is that we've kind of combined a lot of our initiatives together to bring those underrepresented groups into our organization. So for example, women in technology, of course, the numbers are very, very low. So what we've done with our employee resource group that we've started, we've actually partnered them with the Anita Borg Institute. And the Anita Borg Institute, of course, is an organization that supports women in technology, with the idea of being that if we can link those women to those particular organizations, of course, they can use that they can be that outside resource to try to draw people into our organization. And then two, we also have another problem with our civil service process as well. You know, of course, working for the city, there is a civil service process. So we have to kind of work our way around the testing issue. And of course, I can go out and I can go to different agencies or go to different places and tell someone, wow, you are the best candidate I've ever seen, come work for my agency. However, this is what you must do. You must take a civil service exam. You must pass that exam, and you must score high enough to make sure that you're able to retain your position. So that makes it very difficult. So what we've done in that particular area across the board is we've kind of changed the process a little bit. We're working with our administrative services agency. We kind of changed that process where the testing is not such a big deal for someone coming in. So it's a different type of test. So that's another way of drawing more candidates in. And we, of course, we'll let people know that. So across the board, as a diversity officer, of course, and I believe any one of us can tell you, you have to be very imaginative in the tools that you have. You have to kind of think these things through and work with everything you have. And in my agency, we work very well together. My senior staff, along with my commissioner, along with all my other managers and supervisors, we all have the concept now of same speak and what we need to do in order to bring diverse candidates into our agency. So once we figured out same speak and got everyone to speak the same language, it makes it a little bit easier for our agency.
Thank you.
At MasterCard, we share some of the same strategies. We have to tell our story differently because, again, a few years ago, people knew us only as a credit card company, and with our new CEO and the way we are looking at the business globally, we have transformed ourselves into a technology company, which means that the type of talent that we're looking for has changed dramatically. And because of that, we need to build a pipeline that competes with a lot of the technology companies that are already out there that, quite frankly, are a little bit sexier than MasterCard, right? So what we've done is we've